Hi, my name is Natalie Harrington, and I work here in the Career Center at Tri-C. We are going to talk about LinkedIn during this workshop today. And the LinkedIn is a platform on social media that is free to use, but also has paid versions. Today, we're not going to look at anything that requires you to pay a dime because the free version is a great place to start and is going to be very user friendly for you as you get connected into the opportunities that LinkedIn has within it. LinkedIn is a platform that allows you to create a professional brand for yourself and add to the other things that you might have already done to start networking with colleagues or connections in your industry area or desired area, or just folks that you have had contact with throughout your life. Because you just never know what opportunities come from connecting with someone. And really, that's all that networking means, is creating a connection. But LinkedIn, when used as a powerful tool, can help you make those connections to employers, can help show off the skills and experiences that you have to folks that might be looking for somebody just like you to hire next. It also is a wonderful way for you to really be able to keep in touch with folks that you might not see every day, as well as share accomplishments that you've had throughout your personal professional career. And when I say personal professional, it's different than personal social media. So LinkedIn is not a social media platform where you are going to be posting pictures of your puppies and kitties and vacations and spouses, although all of those are wonderful things. This is to focus on you as a professional and what your accomplishments have been and the type of person you are growing into in that professional realm. So you're going to notice it does not include the word personal nearly as frequently, but it's personal in a way that it shows you in a capacity that your resume can't. And so when I refer to LinkedIn, I want you to think of that as your resume plus. So here is this document that you present when you apply for a position, that you bring to an interview, and needs to exude all of your skills and experiences that are relevant to that specific position or opportunity. LinkedIn is a housing platform that allows you to keep all of the things that at some point you might decide, you know what, this isn't just quite relevant for this position I'm applying for, or you know what, I've gained skills that are to a higher level than how I demonstrated them on my resume at my first job when I was 14. But I could actually put that job on my LinkedIn because it might create a connection to somebody else. One of my first positions was at a local ice cream stand called Pab's Creamery. And there have been so many folks that worked there since then, but LinkedIn will be able to connect me with other folks that have worked at all of the companies I have worked at or schools that I have gone to and start creating those connections for me based on the information that I put into the platform. And so it's far more than just your resume. It is a living, breathing way to take that resume, create a personal brand, make the connections, and give you an opportunity to interact with employers and do research about companies like nothing else. So we want you to be able to take advantage of LinkedIn itself. LinkedIn is something that requires a lot of intentionality. And so I say that because I work with so many folks that created a LinkedIn long ago. And then we start talking about it again, they go, oh, I have one of those, but I made it and then I never used it again. And so if that tends to be you as well, don't worry, because whether you are a novice with LinkedIn or you are somebody that uses it daily and is just looking for some tips and tricks, this is going to be a great time for you to get exposure to what LinkedIn is and how it can be a benefit to you. So I don't have slides to share with you during this workshop. I want to share you the platform live. So I'm going to go ahead and open it up so that you can see what it looks like. And then we're going to talk about how to make a profile that stands out to employers, as well as how to utilize it. So on the main page, you're going to see it looks very similar to what other social media platforms might have, where as you scroll through, you are going to see faces and posts by folks that you're familiar with, companies that you follow, ads, just like any other social media site. And recommendations. The platform is going to interact with you a little bit like Netflix does, where as you start to search for opportunities, it's going to say, hey, you might be interested in this. So this is the main page. And then you're going to notice that besides being able to scroll, see how it says new posts every time something new posts, across the top, there are these interactive buttons. And so we are going to start working through, we're going to come back to this posting piece once we talk about how to use it. But for now, let's talk about how to create a profile. So if we navigate away from the main page during this workshop, I'm going to talk about this over here is your big face, and this up here at the top is your little face, and we'll talk about navigating between the two of them. But we're going to click on what you would call your big face. And so this is going to take us into your profile specifically. We're going to work from top to bottom, the different opportunities that you have in LinkedIn to interact. So what you're going to notice first is there is an image up here at the top that you can edit and change out to what you want it to be. And every inch of this LinkedIn profile is real estate for you to show an employer who you are, what your characteristics are, what you believe in, what values you have, what's important to you. And those are all components of your professional brand. I don't know about you, but when I scroll through my social media, sometimes I don't even have to look at who posted the post to know who did it. There is a certain feel that folks will have as they post things. So you might see a post that is about politics and know exactly which one of your connections posted that without even looking. Or maybe it is, like I referred to in the beginning, a really great kitty video that just warms your heart and you know exactly who posted that because you have a brand, whether you know it or not. The question is, what is that professional brand to other people? How are you being perceived? What characteristics are being recognized when somebody says your name? And so in your LinkedIn, I want you to think about every decision you make with that lens. So let's go up here and look at this image. This opportunity in your LinkedIn can be used in quite a few different ways. You could post an image that you took of a action setting. So what I mean by that is, let's say when you are thinking about the characteristics that you want connected to your professional brand, one of them might be communicator or trainer or someone that's strong at teamwork. You could have somebody take a picture of you in a classroom setting or a group setting or a team setting, interacting with folks, because that's what you want to be perceived as, a strong communicator or trainer or person that works with a team. And so this picture in the background could be an action shot. It could also be a picture that you took that is connected to the industry area that you're working in. So if you're really interested in technology, maybe it is something around that. So a computer that you're working on and that you're building, maybe it's a picture of the internal workings of a computer. But you want to keep in mind, it needs to be either an image that you took, or it needs to be something that you personally created, or it needs to be free and without copyright on the internet. Because the first piece you don't want connected to your professional brand is somebody that plagiarizes. So for example, I have a quote in the background of mine, and it says, I've learned that people will forget what you said, people will forget what you did, but people will never forget how you made them feel. And this is Maya Angelou. So I'm not going to create a quote that isn't quoted properly. So you have to give credit where credit is due. And this image isn't one that I downloaded from the internet. I actually went onto a free design platform called Canva and created this. This image and this quote are not picked out of the air. This is specifically with intentionality, and it's because of the way I'm currently using my LinkedIn. So I want you to think about that for a second. Why are you using LinkedIn? Is it to just start building network connections as you're in college, making sure that you're connected with your faculty and the staff and those folks that support you, your peers and your classes that might be working in the same industry area that you are? Are you a professional that is transitioning careers? And perhaps you want them to look at this image and your profile and see who you could be in their company. it really is important for you to think about why. And so, as an example, I am newer into my role here in Tri-C. I'm not newer to the industry of higher ed. But for me, if a student knows that they're going to have an appointment with me and they've never met me before and they hop on LinkedIn, I want them to get a feeling for who I am as a professional and what it's going to be like to work with me. And so that's really important that you think about what message, what professional branding does the image that you choose convey? It's the same with your headshot. And so your headshot does not need to be taken by a professional. You can actually have a friend take you out or come into the Career Center. You can make a LinkedIn appointment and we can take the pictures for you. We're going to use our smartphones and take images that we can share with you and you can edit because you do not want a bathroom selfie. You want this to be professional in the way that it really shows off who you are, a really close image of your face, not you cropped out of an image that other people were in. It's also not you in a t-shirt, although LinkedIn can be more casual. You could take an image outside if you wanted to. It really needs to show who you are and the best of you as a future employee. And so, although casual pictures are fine on social media, this is not the type of social media that you want for your professional brand. And it wouldn't be appropriate for LinkedIn. So, you don't need to be in a full suit. Not long ago, that is what LinkedIn was looking for, is the very most professional that you can be. It's not that. It is relaxed some, but you still need to put your best foot forward. This is probably the first time someone will see an image of you if they have never met you before and they are looking at your LinkedIn profile. So you want it to stand out and be remembered for the right reasons. As we work down, the next thing that comes under your headshot is called a headline. So mine reads career coaching, human supporting, story loving professional, passionate about helping others find their purpose and fit. This is a headline that is popped up and seen with your headshot as somebody scrolls through connection options in LinkedIn. So you really want it to stand out, and it's an opportunity for you to show some pieces of that professional brand instead of just your current employment opportunity, which is what it defaults to. And if you aren't currently employed, then it uses your current experience in education. So student at Tri-C, it will default to that if you don't take advantage and edit that headline itself. And so you do that simply in each section of LinkedIn by clicking the pencil. And it takes you in and allows you to make those edits. So you're going to notice in headline, it will do an automatic default if you do not edit it yourself. And so you'll want to make sure that you edit it. It will save each time that you go into it as long as you make that choice. So make sure that the things that you're working on, you save. It's not an auto save. So just keep that in mind. You're also going to be able to edit your contact information. How do you want people to reach you and share that? So LinkedIn does a really great job of keeping it safe for you. You do not have to share that contact information. They can direct message you if they want to. But it's important that if you want to be contacted, and that's the purpose of utilizing your LinkedIn, that you include that information. So I want to take a moment and go back to headline before we move on to the other sections and show you some options, because mine is not going to be a good fit for everyone's, nor do I want you to have the same headline as I have. It should be unique to you. And so I wanted to share a couple examples of what that might be. I wanted to share one of our alumni students and what they included as their headline: computer science student, student leader, honors program, aspiring fencer. And so when we think about if you include a hobby in your headline, I want you to make sure you really think about what does that convey to an employer. If you think about fencing, that's an art. It takes study, it takes practice. And so anytime you include something that is more on the personal professional side, you want to make sure that it is conveying the message that you want to be conveyed and adding positively to your professional brand. Let's look at another example. Mariah Parker was one of our graduate students here in the Career Center. So hers is a little shorter, but look how impactful. Mentor, community leader, training and development. And so those are three aspects that she really wants to be known for. Let's look at one additional one. This is Zachary Beck. He is somebody that actually speaks quite frequently about LinkedIn and had done an internship there. And so you're going to notice his is maybe the longest that we've seen and incorporates some really neat aspects that we haven't seen yet in examples. So Chief Development Officer, Foundation Leader, 40 under 40, pilot. So you'll notice that looks like Novice, where it is a hobby of theirs or something that you have a certification in, but also shows something about who that person would be as an employee. NUUN ambassador athlete, doctoral work, and that he's working on behavioral economics. And so you really want to take some time and think about what are those characteristics that you want to be shown in your headline. Okay. There are all kinds of other things that LinkedIn is going to help you do and encourage you to add in. So you can take a quiz that is going to help LinkedIn identify what skills that you have. You could also add those directly through a section that we're going to get to below. There is an analytics area, and this is something that is just private to you. You're going to notice this is just for you to be able to see how folks are interacting with your LinkedIn. So this is not open for the public to be able to see, just for you to review. It also includes the resources that you have, the modes that you're in, which is further down the road for you as a LinkedIn user than we're going to cover today. But I want to stop and pause on this About section. This is an area where I'm going to encourage you to spend quite a bit of time. Your LinkedIn, similar to your resume, is one of your first demonstrations of written communication. It allows an employer to see more of you than they're ever going to see just from that resume if you take advantage of this. The About section gives you an opportunity to talk about your personal narrative. And so it makes a suggestion. You can write about your years of experience, industry, or skills. People also talk about their achievements or previous job experiences. But I want to level that up for you and give you a different approach to it that I've seen be incredibly effective over my years of interacting with LinkedIn. When we talk about narrative, that's a story. And this is your story. How did you come to be interested in the industry area that you are currently passionate about? What are you doing to grow and enhance your knowledge in that field? And what are you doing next to continue that path forward, or what goals do you have? So this gives a really unique opportunity for you to tell a story about yourself and enhance your why. And when I say your why, what I mean is when we talk with employers, if they say, I have multiple candidates that I'm interested in, and I need to narrow those down, they often will go and say which person was most passionate, most interested in this area. Because working is hard. It's also a joy if you're in the right industry. And if you have passion for what you're doing, it becomes the motivating factor to get you to get up in the morning and approach that work with positivity. And so when an employer can see that enthusiasm from you, can see that passion, it's very intriguing for them and it sets you apart from other candidates. So in my About section, I've taken the opportunity to share some of those highlights of what brought me to work that I'm doing. What am I passionate about and where do I want to go next? What I'm going to encourage you to do is write that section out in a Word document. Edit it and then have another set of eyes edit it. You can use the Writing Center here at Tri-C to look through that section. You can work with the coaches in the Career Center, but don't just put something up that you haven't had another set of eyes on, because if you have poor grammar or it isn't making sense in what you're trying to convey, you need somebody to bounce those ideas off of to really make sure that that is polished before you show it to the world. So I wouldn't even encourage adding drafts of your About section until you've taken those steps. The next section is featured. So this is going to highlight some of the posts that you've made that have gotten a lot of interaction. There's also activity. So you are able to look back through any time that you've interacted with somebody else's posts, anytime you've made a post, and you have a log there to be able to review that. As we move through your LinkedIn profile, it's going to start to look very similar to a resume. It has many of the same sections. And so if you're thinking about building a LinkedIn, I'm going to strongly encourage you to work with the coaches in the Career Center on your resume first. Make sure that that is a polished document, because as LinkedIn asks you for the information, most of it is going to pull from your resume. And so you want to be ready for that. The experience section is going to be positions that you've held in the past, and you are able to offer descriptions of what those look like. You can do that through a paragraph form, or if you've developed bullets, you can pull the bullets directly off of your resume. And so as we go through this section, again, let me just show you how it edits. You're able to add different or new experiences and put bullets in that you can pull right from your resume. There is a word count to those sections, and you don't want to share everything that's going to be on your resume because your resume should be tailored. However, it is a great opportunity to pull some of those highlighted bullets out and then be able to share those through your LinkedIn profile. As we pass through the experience section, we move down to education. And so you are able to share where you achieved your education, what level was that, your years, just similarly as your resume. And then if there are opportunities that you had through that experience that you want to highlight, you can put those there as well. That is a little bit different though, because there is the opportunity to add specific courses that you've taken, organizations that you've been involved in through different sections. But remember, similarly to your resume, LinkedIn, somebody's scrolling through it, they may stop scrolling. So if there's really impactful moments from your educational experience that you would like to be shown, don't be afraid to highlight them in that section as well. You're going to notice I demonstrate licenses and certifications, volunteer experience, and these are things that might be on my resume. However, I can tell you from a perfect example, you're going to notice the dates of some of my volunteer experience. So June of 2003 is 20 years ago. I just can't even believe it. This one is 2002. However, these are things that used to be on my resume when they were more recent volunteer experiences, but I've removed them. And it was a tough day when I moved those off my resume because these were such impactful moments to my life. I have a real passion for working with international students and interacting and volunteering in ways that help them achieve their goals. And when I went on my missions trips to Nicaragua and Ecuador and Little Havana, Miami, there were moments and opportunities there where that passion was ignited. And so it was really challenging for me to move that off my resume because that is a huge part of my professional brand. I want people to know that about me, but they were so long ago that it doesn't make sense to keep them on my resume anymore. And so this is a great way for me to continue and archive those moments that created part of who I am and share those with the world. And so you can do that through LinkedIn. The next section is an area that goes often neglected. And let me tell you why you don't want to do that. When we talk with employers, they are absolutely looking for you to have technical skills in their field. They want you to be able to achieve certain aspects that you need training on. However, there's something called soft skills or transferable skills or critical skills. Those are all the same thing. But this is a great opportunity for you not just to say you have the skills, but be endorsed. And so you want a combination of both your technical skills and your transferable skills on your resume, because you can go in and endorse others, and then it is going to show how many people have endorsed you in that specific skill. So you can add quite a few of these. You can take that skills exam that we talked about at the beginning, that assessment, and it will help build these, or you can add them directly through this section. And one of the really nice features of LinkedIn is as you start to type a skill set, so let's say you work in marketing, it is going to give you examples that you could add to your LinkedIn that are connected to that skill set. And so if you're somebody that goes, oh, every time I try to talk about myself, I draw a blank, LinkedIn's going to help you out. And so we're going to talk about when is a good time to start endorsing other folks in the skills that they have. It's not until your LinkedIn is up to date and ready for the world to see. And we'll talk about why here as we talk about how you use your LinkedIn. So as we move on, I opened up that whole skills section. Let's get past it. We have a couple other things that we want to talk about today within your section itself. And so I actually have to back out of here. Sorry about that. One of the last areas I want to talk about that you can add to your profile is recommendations. And just like we talked about before, that having an about section that's really well developed shows something about you that nobody can ever see from your resume. That's the same thing for recommendations. Recommendations are something that you can request from somebody and you can also write for others. And so what I want you to notice is there's received and given. So something that I'll frequently talk about with folks that I'm working with on their LinkedIn is, what do you think the perception to your professional brand would be if you had only received recommendations and not given any? I often think that that is going to tell someone that you are not a team player, that you don't think about others, and maybe you're a little selfish. And so think about, who do you work with that really deserves recommendation? Who have you interacted with in your classes? Did you have a great teammate on a class project? Were they wonderful with doing the work that you were assigned and collaborating? Did you have a faculty member that changed the way that you thought about a topic or your skill set or who you are? Did they change you? Maybe a recommendation for them. Same thing for staff. As you work with the different point folks across the entire campus, we are here to help. And so if there is somebody that you've worked with that you think other people need to know how wonderful they are, that's a great opportunity to give a recommendation. If you're somebody that is already in your career, think about your colleagues, think about your supervisors in the same capacity that we just talked about. Offer to give them a recommendation on LinkedIn. So I'm going to show you how to go about doing that as well, but I want to show you some of these examples. So when you scroll through, you may have heard of a recommendation letter. You're going to notice these are not as long as a full letter. Some of them are a little bit longer, but typically they're a few paragraphs. And so as you are asking folks to give you a recommendation on LinkedIn, I want you to think about how each person that you're asking that from might provide a different lens for who you are as a professional. And so Mary was somebody that I supervised. So I had asked her to share about what it's like to interact with me and be supervised by me. Michael was somebody that I worked with as a student at an institution that came in for career coaching. And how did that impact? Fideria was a colleague that I had from a previous institution. What was it like to collaborate with me? And so those different lenses allow other people to see me in different ways and add to my professional brand. It's the same thing with given. Think about those different folks that you've worked with that you can provide recommendations to. The next section is languages, which is a choice to add. Interests, this allows you to follow companies, which changes your main scroll on your page and shows you relevant information to those areas that you're interested in. And so if you are a job seeker, you are going to want to follow the companies that you're interested in. If you are somebody in an industry area, follow those folks that are doing similar types of work as you so you can see benchmarking and best practice and innovation that might be helpful for you to bring to your own organization. And so my fit for my LinkedIn and the way I've designed it is for me and the reason that I'm using it currently. You can go into this add profile section up at the top and choose from a variety of different sections to add to your resume. So When you go through, make sure you explore all these different options. There's honors and awards, there's specific organizations, there's causes, there's patents, and really tailor it so that it represents you and who you are as a professional. Okay, that's a lot, right? And that's the development, the basic development of a LinkedIn. We're going to talk about how to use it. But before we do, I want to give you one pro tip that also lives in the same area after you click your big face in this profile section. In this top right-hand corner, there's this opportunity to edit public profile and URL. If you click that and leave your cursor, if you're using a desktop computer or a laptop, right where it was when you clicked on it, it leaves your mouse in the perfect section, which is edit your custom URL. So you can see that mine is currently Nat-Harrington. Apparently, Natalie Harringtons across the globe are very savvy LinkedIn users. So when you go to this for the very first time, it's going to be your full first name, hyphen, your full last name, and a set of numbers or letters that come after it that make it unique to you. And so if I were to copy this in to a search bar in a web browser, it is going to bring you exactly to my profile. But that's because I have edited it to be this. So please make sure that you click this little pencil and try removing all of those numbers and letters that initially come after your first and last name, and try to get it as close to your name as possible. You can remove the hyphen, you can use your first initial and your last name. If you can't get that, you could use your first name hyphen, middle initial hyphen, your last name, but try to keep it as close to your actual name as possible, not including numbers or letters that could be mistyped or just misread and a little bit confusing. After you try to get it to one that you would like to have, then just click save. And if it's already taken, it will tell you that, and you can try another combination to get this custom URL for you to be able to add right at the top of your resume to direct folks to your LinkedIn. Okay, so that's the profile aspect. That's how to build a LinkedIn profile that's going to stand out. Now let's talk about how to use it. And so this is where you come back to your main page with the scroll underneath it. And you can create posts. So when you are creating a post, remember again, this goes out to everybody that is using LinkedIn that is connected to you. And it also is going to tag in to anybody that you know that's connected to you that comments on your post. And so LinkedIn is a gigantic spider web. It is going to share the posts that you put out a little bit differently than other social media because it stays coming into people's scrolls for about 5 weeks. And so it keeps getting kicked back in. So you want to make sure that information is really relevant. When it asks you, what do you want to talk about? This is not a place to vent about a bad day you had at work because, again, it goes back to your professional brand. This is the opportunity to be intentional. And as you are posting these posts, think about, what does this convey? So posts can very frequently go back to why you're using your LinkedIn and the professional brand that you want shared. And so when we think about that, if I want to be known as a leader, maybe it's an article that has top 5 leadership strategies that I really believe in. I'm not going to just post that article or a link to that article. I am going to comment before I post because you want to be seen as the specialist, the expert, somebody that is knowledgeable in that area. And so I would read that article and I would pick at least one of the pieces that they touch on to highlight as something that I believe in, that I would encourage, that I've seen work. And then I would post the article. And to do that, you would copy the link from the original source, you would post it in your post, and then you would create the post that goes with it. You can also add a photo. We know that photos always get more attention in social media than just words. You can do a video. You can also write an article. And so this is different than just a post. This is like an actual article that you could read in a magazine or a weekly newsletter. And so if you take this step, take it pretty seriously because this is going to be connected back to you. You can, of course, edit posts that you put up on LinkedIn, but it's going to be really important that you take the time to think through this, through all the different lenses and the outcomes it could have before you publish it. So that is posting. You are able to do other things within posting. I wanted you to think about celebrating accomplishments that you had. Maybe you took an exam and you studied incredibly hard and you got a wonderful grade. You could talk about that in a post, but more than that, talk about what you learned. How is that going to change the way that you approach your next steps with that knowledge? You can share images if you go to a conference or maybe you have an event with an organization that you're involved in. Think about being intentional about taking pictures during those events and then coming back to LinkedIn to post them with some insights. You're also able to interact and give kudos to other people. So we're going to talk about how to interact with folks next. Under your My Network tab, LinkedIn is going to start making suggestions of folks that are connected to folks you are connected with. And so what I mean by that is as you connect with people, it is going to recommend, hey, you know this person? Do you also know this person? And then you're able to start making connections with them. So it says people you may know from Cuyahoga Community College. I work with Karen Nickerson frequently. She is a talent acquisition specialist in our human resource department, and we work together for many different things, including hiring staff within the Career Center, as well as our summer internship program. And so I'm going to go ahead and I am going to click connect with Karen. And that is going to send her a notification that I want to connect, and then she gets the choice of ignoring it or accepting it. After you have connected with folks and you come over on this left-hand side, it's going to show you the connections that you have. And so if I click connections, it will tell me who do I already know and am connected with currently. And then you can start interacting with those folks. For example, Mario is a student that has come in and worked with me recently on his LinkedIn. I can do a few things. I can come over here because I'm connected with him and message him directly. I can also remove the connection if that was something that I was interested in. And so make sure that as you interact with these folks, that you take advantage of different things that you can do. Vince Consiglio is one of our new career coaches in the Career Center, and he is at our Manufacturing Technology Center at the Metro campus. And so if I go in, I can message Vince from his profile that I can look through. I can also go up and click more. And that allows all kinds of different options. So I can send a profile message. I can save the profile to a PDF. I can give kudos. So this is a really wonderful way to share something positive. If you've worked with somebody that you think, you know what, they need a pat on the back. They did a great job. Or maybe you just think, I really appreciate being connected to them. I'm able to go through and choose one of these, like think of it as an e-card that is posted to their profile. Choose one, team player, click next, and add some language around why I think that Vince is a great team player. You can also add hashtags to your kudos or to your regular posts from your LinkedIn page, which allows you to be connected and shared out more frequently. So let's go back into those connections and talk about that a little bit more. So you can search directly by name. You don't have to absolutely go by the ones that are being recommended. And as you first start building your LinkedIn profile, you might have to start there. However, what's going to happen is as it starts making recommendations for you, you're going to be able to see how you might be connected to different people. And so if we go back in to these connections that it recommends, it takes a second to load here. It will start showing me more than just people I'm connected with, but also break it down into categories by places. So, top emerging creators to follow, audio events for you, groups you might be interested. So, not just connecting with people, but also connecting with networks. There is a jobs tab up at the top. This jobs tab allows you to search for positions within LinkedIn. And what's really neat is it's going to start showing you if you know somebody that already works at that place that you are trying to apply to. Because then it helps you be able to think about, oh, I could reach out to that person and ask some questions about the job itself or the company before I even apply. And so as I scroll through this, you're going to see 18 alumni work here. We're going to explore alumni in just a moment and how that can be so powerful to you. We have so many users using LinkedIn from Tri-C, and so you're going to be able to use that as well. So here it says Odyssey and Student Success Program Coordinator at Cleveland State University. I have 7 connections that are already connected in at Cleveland State. They may have been a student there, they might be working there. And so if I click that 7 connections, it's going to break it down to exactly who that is, and I can directly message them and ask a question about the place where I'm about to apply to have that insider information before I do. They might also be able to connect me in for an informational interview with somebody that works in that area at the institution. So I'm able to ask questions about what it's like to work there more than just a quick message through LinkedIn. Keep in mind, LinkedIn is a social media platform. It's not directly to email. And so if you reach out to somebody through LinkedIn, it might take them a little while to get back to you. So just keep that in mind. So I said, let's talk about alumni a little bit. And if we go back into this main page of LinkedIn, one of the things that you can do is search by institutional organization. So if I say Cuyahoga Community College, as I type it in, it will auto-populate it. Go ahead and go to our page for Tri-C. If I click in, it's going to show me that we have so many folks already using LinkedIn, and it has an alumni tab. And if you click on this alumni tab for that educational institution, then what it does is it allows you to aggregate some data. So if some of you are love the numbers and love that connecting to people, this is going to be something that just absolutely is mind-blowing to you. I know the first time I saw it, I thought, how powerful is that? So if I was searching for a position or I just wanted to connect in to a certain organization, I could come in and I could type the name of that organization here. Think about this also through the lens of, let's say you're transferring and you're going from Tri-C to Kent State or Ohio State, and you're part of a student organization and you think, oh, you know what? I would love to know other Phi Theta Kappa members at Ohio State. You can search in the alumni from Tri-C and say Ohio State. And then go ahead, you can just click enter from there. And so it's going to say, hey, you know what? There's 2,647 folks that also went to Ohio State. Where are they working? Where are they living? Let's do that again, not by Ohio State, but let's do it by an employer. Let's say Cleveland Clinic. And when we say Cleveland Clinic, there's 4,673 alumni from Tri-C that are connected to Cleveland Clinic. And so then it does the same thing, where they work and where they live. So you might go, Natalie, but I don't know what to do with this. So if you click show more, what you can do is say, you know what, I'm looking specifically for those alumni that are connected in to Cleveland Clinic and are working at Cleveland Clinic. And so I can click that and say, you know what, where do those folks live? And then it starts breaking it down by area. And so I go, you know what, I just really am focused on the folks that work at Cleveland Clinic and also are living in the greater Cleveland area. And then after I do that, down at the bottom, it shows me profiles of all of those folks. These are alumni from Tri-C. So you could reach out, you could send them a connection, or you could send them a message, and then you're able to ask those questions that you might have to learn more about the organization. So each time you interact with this data in this search bar, it is going to refine that information below. So one of the things that you might have noticed is there's some numbers popping up next to the names. If you remember, I talked about LinkedIn as this network spider web. So if it has a second, that means I know somebody and I'm connected to them that knows Laura, that knows David. And so then I can look in their profile and I'll be able to see who those connections are. And then if I don't feel comfortable reaching out straight to Laura, I could reach out to one of my connections that I have that knows Laura and say, could you make this connection for me to Laura? Could you send a message over her and just let her know that I would love to have a conversation and learn a little bit more about what it's like to work at Cleveland Clinic? So that is such a powerful tool. And remember, it's just going up to the top, typing in the organization or the college that you're at that you want to connect with the alumni from, clicking that alumni tab, and then start refining your search so that you can see who you're connected to that's already where you want to be. So when you think about that, people are going to send you network connections. They are going to ask to be connected to you. And so I want you to think about who you accept as connections. If you want to be connected to anybody that wants to be connected to you, whether you know them or not, go ahead and accept those connections. If you are somebody that knows that you're going to be a connector of folks to other people, you can use the same rule of thumb that I do. And so if I was in the position that we just talked about and somebody reached out to me through LinkedIn and said, Natalie, hey, could you connect me with Beth Johnson, who is, I see on LinkedIn, a career coach over at the Eastern campus? I really want to have a conversation with her, but I'm not connected to her. If I've accepted Beth Johnson's request to be connected, I'm only going to do that if I'm willing to make that connection and have something that is professional that I can speak to about that person's capabilities. So that's the lens that I use. I only accept those connections that I'm comfortable making a connection to another person with. You can do whatever you are most comfortable with, but just think about that as a piece of LinkedIn and how it works with that intentionality. Next is messaging. This is where folks can reach out to you directly. Nobody else can see those messages but you. And so just know that you are able to message and interact in that way without other folks seeing it. You can see I sent this message to Sue. She's one of our new staff members over at the Eastern campus, and we've been able to interact through LinkedIn without anybody else seeing it, just those private messages. So know that that's how messaging works. In notification, it's going to tell you what you missed, what's going on with other folks that you're connected to that have made posts or have hit years of work somewhere. It celebrates those milestones when you are connected to an employer. It talks about articles that the companies that you're following have posted, and you want to know what is going on. And so it will also show you folks that have viewed your profile. So that's one thing to know, is that you work through that network and you're searching for people and you're interacting with their profile. It does send them a notification about who has been looking at their profile. So a little bit different than other social media. Next is your little face. So remember, on your profile, I had called this up here your big face, and then this your little face. So if you click on your little face, this takes you into settings and privacy. It allows you to switch languages of your entire profile. It allows you to sign out if you're on a public computer. And then it allows you to manage those posts and activity. So this is a really great command center to work from. We have covered so many things tonight. It is so important for you to know that LinkedIn is such a powerful tool and can be utilized in so many different capacities, but it's only as good as the effort and intentionality that you put into it. So this video helps you get started in building that profile, making it stand out to employers, and using it to begin creating those connections and interacting. But just know the Career Center team here at Tri-C is here to support you through this process of interacting with LinkedIn. So if you're not sure, reach out. We are here and happy to help. We look forward to interacting with you, being connected with you on LinkedIn, and seeing you grow as a professional. Enjoy LinkedIn. Have a great time. Use it wisely. And please reach out if you have any questions.